Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Yep, Munchin' on Pumpkin. Nice pumpkin lager from Devil's Backbone Brewing Company. Got it when I was up in North Georgia area. Very nice lager. Good start to the day. And I know half the brewers out there are like, no pumpkin beer. And the other half are like, pumpkin beer. I'm just picky with my pumpkin beers. This one's nice. I like it. Not a problem. But some are amazing and some just, and this one is definitely nice. Definitely nice. And it's a lager, so it's a little early in the day, so it's all good. This is part 3 of the Floating Dip Tube series. We're gonna be covering Kegland's Dip Tube, Torpedo Keg Buoy Floating Dip Tube, Top Draw Floating Dip Tube, and a ton of other copycats with like systems. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing. Definitely appreciate the sharing. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, I'll put part 2 up here. You can go backwards and then see part 1, and it's all good. Not a big deal. Before we jump into this, did I mention we're doing giveaways every Monday, hopefully, for the rest of the year? Well, some of the vendors out there are starting to hook us up with some swag for some giveaways. So we're gonna be doing more than books between now and Christmas or New Year's, whatever ends up on a Monday. So for this one, I'm gonna keep it kind of calm because we got a really nice giveaway in the 4th episode of this series, which will be the final episode. This is Brewing Electric IPA. Great little book. I'm gonna give you a keyword or a key phrase towards the end of the video. As you've probably seen this rodeo before, all you gotta do is throw it in the bottom in the comments, and exactly a week from then, I'll randomly pull something and someone will win. If you're from another country, it's been hooking up some of the people here and some of the people there, because I gave away one book several times to New Zealand, Australia, and it was actually cheaper to order a book local for them and give it to them than it was to do a Kindle. So whatever's the best route is how we'll try to get you hooked up. But at the end of the day, we're gonna try to get you hooked up, whoever you are and whoever is the winning number that pulls out of the comments. Like I mentioned, vendors are taking notice to the channel and taking notice to some of the videos I've been doing, and the feedback we've been getting from all the viewers, which is awesome. And I don't know if you realize that, but comments, information, questions, things like that really do help build a channel, and I definitely appreciate it. So, if you saw our last episode, part 2, we did FLOTit and FLOTit 2.0, also sometimes called FLOTit. It's FLOTit, and first letters are capitalized, first 4. So Trog, the inventor of the FLOTit system or FLOTit system, also is the inventor of quite a few other things, including a SPUNDit and a SPUNDit 2.0, which is what this is. This is a SPUNDit 2.0. Mine's a little dirty, a little messy, water goes in here. It's a spunding valve, but it's like a high-end, very nice, very fancy industrial grade type spunding valve. This thing has all kinds of features, has add-ons. It's the Swiss Army spunding valve. It can be used, you'll see he mentions it for pressure brewing, which he does and is working on a small batch pressure brewing system that I've seen reviews on. And this thing runs, based on which country it's being shipped to, about $70 to $120. Here's the deal. In the next video, episode 4 or part 4, this is up for grabs. And we'll put some keywords out there at the end of the video in the 4th part. And some lucky winner will win a SPUNDit 2.0. This thing even hooks up to like the Pico firm. It's got dual connections that you can get added to it. Basically, it does all kinds of cool things. Goes up to 30 PSI. It's got markings for presets. It's extremely fine tuning. It's just a cool, solid spunding valve. And I mean solid. So keep watching. I'm gonna set that stuff aside and get down to business so that we can get this covered and get this covered as quickly as possible. First of all, my issue with these systems, and this is what we're talking about right here. This is the floating buoy. I'll put it on the side camera and the front camera, but it's a very straightforward system. It does a good job. I'm not saying it does a bad job. It does a good job. There are some issues with it, pros and cons, but the system was, from what appears to me, was invented 20 years ago as of October this year from a bunch of people on Homebrew Talk, a bunch of home brewers just like me and you were talking about stuff, and they were talking about getting the stainless steel ball from Granger, which was used for, on, off, for different types of water systems, whether it's an RV or something else, or a toilet, I don't know. But yeah, this might have been used for a toilet. Not this one, but the general design. I'm just kind of pointing that out there. But all of those components that they were talking about are still being used and still being sold as floating dip tubes. And now mind you, that some companies decided to trademark things like Torpedo Keg Buoy, top draw floating dip tube. There are tons and tons of non-branded ones just floating around. Yes, pun intended. On eBay, Alibaba, Etsy, tons of homebrew shops, online, offline, it doesn't matter. That's what really irritated me. And if you saw the video I did a while back, and I kind of get it, but it's a 20-year invention that's just a lot of people cashed in on it and didn't try to improve on that design. Now, Kegland, I do kind of get it. They threw one out there and said, you know what, we need this because we're doing all kinds of fermenters and pressure fermenters, and the only way to get the liquid out is to go back from the top, and we don't want to use an auto siphon or something like that. So they came out with one. But early on, they were at least the only company that I'm aware of that saw there was a problem with their design, even though it was a copycat design, sorry, Kegland, but a lot of people had a very similar design, and it's quite obvious. But they said, you know what, there is a problem. Let's see if we can't fix that problem or at least improve on that invention. And I'll put this on this camera so you can see all 3 little holes. They came out with a plastic filter. The cool thing with the plastic filter was that it was inexpensive, it was a quick fix, and it helped to resolve or almost eliminate a problem, or it technically did eliminate the problem. It just changed issues, which everything has issues. But I didn't know you could take this apart to clean it, and I've been fighting to get this thing off, and I finally popped it off. Now I'm looking at it, and yeah, there's no grooves, it just pops off. You may have to take a thin flathead screwdriver and go around it to pop it off, because you do need to clean this thing inside and out if you've used it. Before you use it, you should be good with just, you know, some PBW, some Star Sand, just cleaning it really well. But what they did is, instead of allowing this thing, which I'll show you what this does, is it floats, and it floats, and it floats. The problem is as you get to the bottom, you're going to have, and some of these are heavy, so they sit below the surface pretty well. I mean, you got a little bit sticking out, but it hits the trub or yeast or whatever you have, and it can suck up quite a bit of it, leaving a good portion of the beer behind, which is not a good thing. So Kegland added a filter, and I put mine on the middle. I haven't really figured out which is the best spot, but my theory here is that it's not necessarily that the filter's there. It's that the filter hits the bottom like a submarine and it levels out, keeping the tube above any kind of trub or yeast or anything on the bottom, helping to pull in liquid. Now, you may get a little bit of fine particles in there, but overall it should do a good job. This will fall to the side, not a big deal, and you can keep pulling. If this gets submerged into the trub a little bit, you should still be able to get a lot of the liquid before you start pulling any kind of yeast or trub. So it was a nice, inexpensive fix to help resolve an issue, and credit to Kegland where credit's due. I'm impressed that they came out with something because no one else did, and it was very frustrating. Now, if you've seen video 2 in this series, you saw that there was a FLOTit, or FLOTit, however you want to say, 2.0. They came out with a really cool filter. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going somewhere here. You see it, there's the little filter. It's a dual filter, or a dual filter inline, because that's technically what it is. It's got a 300 micron inside and a 500 micron on the outside. It is a stainless steel. It's got little rubber stoppers on the end. But here's the cool thing about that. You can take your little Christmas ornament off, and I'll show you here. You can see the little hole, and you run it through there. Okay, now you have your dual filter inline, or inline dual filter, however you want to say it. And as it goes down and hits the trub or yeast cake, whatever it hits, you have a dual filter here to avoid pulling the majority, if not any of that stuff in there, while capturing as much beer as humanly possible. As a little more space between here and there, there's a lot less space between here and there. So it's going to get more of the beer, and it puts your current floating dip tubes, kind of a massive improvement, back into full production. So you can buy these filters on eBay, and no, it's not I'm gonna leave you some links. They're not affiliate links for anything on eBay. It's just links. But you can go on and you can actually buy this filter and add it to your current system, which suddenly you have this massive improvement, which I just find that as a huge step in the right direction. You can also buy the Kegland plastic ones. Like I said, they're a good solution. I do like this better because, you know, it's stainless, and on top of that, it's a dual filter, and it's not much more than those, so it's all in how you want to spend your money, but it is what it is. So let's give away the book. And I wanted to have a lot of fun in the first video, but I held back. And a lot of people thought it was funny that I didn't do it. But if you saw the clear beer draft system, it has a huge ball. And I mean, it's a big ball. We'll just go with that. It's a big ball. So yeah, the key word to give away this book, just put somewhere in the comments, big ball or big balls. Yeah, you can pick big ball or big balls. I don't care, either one. You have fun with it. Put it in the comments, keep it as clean as possible, please. But that's the key word. I will do a search a week later, and whoever comes up is the winner. That person hopefully has the big ball or big balls and will get the book. And yes, women are eligible. All you have to do is put that in the comments. It's nothing personal there. Somebody told me I really just had to do it, so I did it. Yep, I did it. Don't forget to check out video 4, which will follow a week from this one. And it's where we actually do a side-by-side experiment with all of the systems. I go over some of the pros and cons of each system. I also mention some things about when you're filling a keg with dip tubes in it and something you need to be concerned with. But there's a lot of different designs out there, a lot of comparable designs, and they run from very basic to very creative to very expensive. And some perform better than you realize they would perform. One of them kind of shocked me. I expected to stop at a certain point and it kept going. And that was something that I wasn't expecting. And that's one of the reasons I like to see for myself how things perform, because you can look at two things and go, this looks better, but sometimes over here may not be better. It may be a lot better. You don't know until you've tried it. And I was quite impressed with that. So like I said, you know the key phrase if you were watching the video. In video 4, and the one that will be actually sent to you will be drop shipped directly from Trong. So it's a brand new one. It's not mine. Yep. And this thing, like I said, is the Swiss Army knife, basically, of the spunding valve community. If I didn't give credit out there, credit to Dr. Hans. He's the one, I saw it the first time, and that's why I went out and bought one. So very impressed. Thank you again for joining us here at Bitter Reality Brewing. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing, and cheers. Thank you.